Hey guys, my name is Matsumiyo, and welcome to episode of Monday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming-related questions, and then I will give my humble opinion on them. To get the formalities out of the way real quick, if you'd like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below, or by sending me a Facebook or Twitter message. The first question for the day is, after seeing the new Maverick gameplay, I was worried that he's going to take over the job of Thatcher, making Thatcher less viable in Rainbow Six Siege. Well, I definitely don't think that he's going to become obsolete. I still think he's going to have his place, but I will agree with you that in some circumstances, it will make a lot more sense to bring a Maverick over a Thatcher. A really good example of this is on Chalet. If you're trying to make your way through the reinforced garage door, and all you have is a thermite and a Thatcher, it can be really difficult to do so if the enemy team has a bandit that knows what he's doing. You can go through all of your gadgets and not even make a dent because the bandit trick is that potent. On the other side though, if you have a Maverick, it's going to be quite simple. Either Maverick can just open up a large enough hole for you and your team to kind of mosey on in, or you could have him open up some small holes directly below where you assume the batteries are going to be, take them out, and if the bandit continues to try to deny you, just simply shoot his feet when you get line of sight. It's going to be a lot easier for you to actually get into that objective room with this new operator. And so yeah, in some circumstances, it will absolutely make more sense to bring Maverick. The thing is, though, is that Thatcher's job doesn't go away. If you're going against a highly defensive team, they're constantly running Legion, Ella, you're still going to want to play as Thatcher. Like, his job doesn't go away just because someone new sort of steps into his territory, but he is not going to be the end-all be-all of getting through these reinforcements. I think that's the reason why I like the introduction of Maverick so much. For the longest time, I've been wanting to have more operators added into this game that can deal with the crazy amount of gadgets that keep getting introduced every single season. And while I don't think that Maverick specifically is designed to be a hard counter to a lot of these gadgets, it is a way for you to deal with a specific amount of them so that we can have other ways of getting through these obstacles. I like that. Right now, we only have Twitch, Thatcher, and IQ. It only makes sense when they introduce someone who has the ability of dealing with these gadgets that he's going to start to step into their territory. We don't have a lot of options right now, and so obviously when someone is introduced, he's going to start to fill a different niche and have a slightly different role. And so all in all, I cannot wait for the introduction of Maverick. I don't think that Thatcher is going to become obsolete. He's still going to have his place, but I love the fact that we're now going to have other tools, other options of getting through these reinforcements. The next question is, have you seen the weak pre-orders of Battlefield 5, and why do you think this is the case? So a lot of people have been talking about this lately, and one thing that people are bringing up constantly is the fact that not too long ago, EA basically came out and said that if you don't like the direction that they're taking with Battlefield 5, then just don't buy it. And while I definitely think that is contributing to their low sale numbers, I don't think that's the full story. And so one thing I really believe is holding back the game is the pretty terrible marketing so far. Up until recently, all the trailers have been fairly lackluster and poorly received by the community. If you look at that initial trailer compared to Battlefield 1's trailer, for example, it's a pretty stark comparison. Battlefield 1's marketing campaign was practically perfect. The hype going in, or basically directly after that initial trailer, was through the roof. Everyone could not get enough of Battlefield 1, and now that Battlefield 5 has been out in the open for a while, it seems like there's no hype whatsoever. When we went into E3 for Battlefield 1, there was a full presentation of the game. It had 64 people, they had celebrities and everything like that, playing the game, having fun, and showing it to the world on their live stream. Battlefield 5, they basically talked about it for about 5 minutes, and then they said that there was going to be Battle Royale, and that was it. And so all in all, I just think the marketing so far has been really lackluster. And while I'm not a marketing major, I don't really know the ins and outs, I would definitely say that that has contributed to these low sales. Another reason why I think this might be is that a lot of people I don't think were very satisfied with Battlefield 1. It may have sold a lot of copies, but it didn't retain those players. Many people were disappointed by the overall overall gameplay, and so now they're a little bit more hesitant with the next Battlefield. Past performances matter. People are going to remember your last game, and if they didn't have the best experience, they may be a little bit more reluctant to pick up your next product. I think that also is going to be the case here. And so overall, if I had to take a guess, I do think it's for these very reasons why pre-order sales are down for Battlefield 5. I do think that they might bump on up if they do an open beta. I'm really hoping that they do, because everything I've played so far, I've really enjoyed. I like the direction that DICE is taking with this game. I think it's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying the gameplay itself. And so I think, yes, people might be reluctant so far, but when they actually get their hands on it, and as long as DICE doesn't screw it up, they'll realize that, yeah, this is actually pretty enjoyable, and those sales might go up. I could be completely wrong. Maybe no one's interested in Battlefield 5 anymore. That could be the biggest contributing factor, but only time will tell. The next question is, should Ubisoft rework the extended barrel attachments? It's quite useless right now. Yeah, I would agree with you on this one. On paper, this attachment doesn't sound like it'd be all that bad. It increases your damage at a distance. Who doesn't want to do more damage at range? You might have to deal with a little bit more recoil, because it's, to my understanding, it does slightly increase the recoil of the weapon, but as long as you're able to compensate for that, you should be able to drop targets faster at long range. The thing is, though, is that in most situations, and people have tested this attachment actually puts you more at a disadvantage because of that recoil increase and doesn't provide you any benefit whatsoever. It doesn't actually increase the weapon's damage up close. This might be a bit of a misconception. If you guys aren't aware, the way that the weapons work in Rainbow Six Siege is that up close, the weapon does full damage, and then the further out they go, it hits a point where it starts to drop in that damage. The extended barrel basically makes sure that at those extreme distances, that damage drop-off isn't as severe. And so while in some circumstances, at the perfect distance, this might require only one less round to be able to drop someone from 100 health all the way down to 0, more often than not, because everything is up close, this attachment does absolutely nothing for you. You could try to make the argument that if your teammate did a little bit of damage against someone, that means that when you start to try to take them out because they hit that damage threshold, it may not take as many rounds as well. But that probably isn't going to happen very often. And so it's just all in all, this attachment doesn't really do a whole lot, especially considering that it also increases your recoil. At the end of the day, I don't really need to say this to you guys because you already know, but the game is all about headshots. You need to be able to line them up, and by having more recoil, especially not having less recoil because you're not taking advantage of the other attachments, you're pretty much just putting yourself at a disadvantage. And so I absolutely agree with you that I think that something could be done to try to make this a little bit more viable. One way they could go about it is just removing the recoil penalty entirely. So you still don't have the most preferred recoil because you're not using the other attachments, but you do have that slight damage increase in those very select situations. That might be one solution. But even then, because this game all revolves around headshots, I don't even know how many people would even use it in those circumstances as well. And so overall, I do agree with you. I honestly think that Ubisoft could probably take a look at a lot of the attachments in this game right now because, let's be honest, only a few are used currently. They could probably go on and make some tweaks, but I definitely think that this one could use some improving. The next question comes from Jelly, and it is, what are your thoughts on a contest timer for secure game mode in Rainbow Six Siege? I think it would improve the gameplay by forcing players to act rather than just sit there. What are your thoughts? I'm actually surprised that there isn't some sort of mechanism that gets those last couple of players to actually play the objective or actually take each other out when they are on the objective. I've had rounds that last like 4 to 5 minutes because people refuse to move. It's a 1v1, they both have their corner. Of course, they don't want to put themselves at a disadvantage. They're not exactly sure where the other player is, and so they just sit there and wait. And then it just becomes a patience game. Who's gonna push out? Who's gonna get bored first? And usually that person is gonna be at a disadvantage. And so it'd be nice if Ubisoft added in some sort of mechanic that would get people to actually try to take each other out, and we don't have these extended rounds that last way too long. The problem with this, though, is that how do you make a mechanic that is fair for both offense and defense? Do you make it where defense can hunker down and offense is the one that actually has to push? So let's say 30 seconds after the round was technically supposed to end, no one's moving, then another timer starts to count down, letting offense know that they need to get a move on to try to take out the defender? Or do you make it the opposite, where defense is actually supposed to go on the aggression? How would you make all of that work? You could make it where the closer you are to the actual objective itself, the box, that way the timer is in your favor. Like, I honestly don't know. Like, how in the world would Ubisoft be able to do this in a meaningful way, but is actually fair for both sides? Because the only ways that I can see this really functioning is either putting one at a disadvantage over the other. And so let me know what you guys think about this. Do you just think that this is a flaw of the game mode and there really isn't anything that they can do? It's just kind of a unique quality of this mode? Or do you have a solution that I'm not thinking about? Let me know down below in the comments. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's episode of Monday Mailbox. I hope you enjoyed. The reason why this episode didn't come out yesterday was, of course, because of the big reveal of the Grim Sky DLC, so hopefully you can forgive me on that. But yeah, as always, if you'd like to submit your own question for an upcoming episode, you can always leave a comment down below or by sending me a Facebook or Twitter message. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one and take it easy.